Hey everybody, this is Chris DeFirio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another episode in a series of episodes focusing on COVID-19. Today we're going to be talking with somebody who is going to shed light on how this crisis is impacting the supply chain. We are going to be talking with the Chief Operating Officer of Ally Coffee, Ricardo Pereira. Now, if you're a roaster and you're wondering what's going to happen with green coffee acquisition and what is the story in terms of supply on the farm end, this is going to be a great episode for you to listen to because Ricardo is in constant communication with all of these parties as they're all partners with Ally as a coffee importer. This crisis is having a major impact not just on coffee shops, but also on those on the farm level, and they have already been dealing with pretty bad situations where they are. So this obviously complicates things even further. This is quite informative, and I think Ricardo offers a lot of clarity as to how things are going down in the supply chain. So I hope that you find this informative and that it helps you make decisions for how you operate your roastery, your business in light of this information. So here now is my conversation with the Chief Operating Officer of Ally Coffee, Ricardo Pereira. Well, Ricardo, great to be on the phone with you. Looking forward to our chat here. How have you been? How have things been going over there at Ally?
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be talking to you today. Here, we are doing well here at Ally, given the current state of things. Trying to take one day at a time and be prepared and be ready for all these changes that are happening so fast worldwide. So, given the current state, I think everybody here is doing well. We're just getting ready and prepared to be a resource for our clients, our friends, both at origin and in the consuming countries, just getting ready for what is next.
Well, I wonder if we could start there in our conversation. I think we're going to do a lot of zooming in and zooming out here as we talk about this and how this is obviously having a ripple effect on the industry, and importers like yourselves are the bridge between two worlds. And you, like you said, you've got your partners that are in the consuming world, the roasters and cafes, et cetera. And then you've got the farmers who you're also serving. And so talk to us a little bit about managing that amidst this uncertainty, and what kind of things are you doing to be prepared to not only, be a service to those customers or those partners, but, stay in business yourself?
No, absolutely, Chris. I think early, I would say maybe 2-3 weeks ago, we've been monitoring the situation globally of what's going on, and trying to be ahead of the game, be preparing for what could happen. So we have been in close contact with our producers at origin, understanding from their point of view or their side of things, what's going on, how this is impacting them, and also our sales team, our sales force, in contact with our clients to understand from their point of view how this is impacting them and their businesses. What we have been finding out is that there is a few different things happening at different places. At origin, for example, in Brazil, people are preparing to start their harvest in most regions. So there is this uncertainty if people are going to have enough labor available for the harvest. I think that kind of translate a little bit similar to what's going on in Colombia as well. So there's these challenges there that we will understand better in the next weeks to come. But hearing from them what are they doing in terms of preparing for this, it's been an interesting conversation, to say the least, right? So with countries like Ethiopia, where harvest is past and people are just now trying to receive the coffees and prepare the coffees for export, there is a lot of tension there as well, just because Infrastructure could be a big problem in Ethiopia, and things could slow down and delay. So in Central America as well, where things are almost to the end of the harvest, we see different challenges as well. I'll try to tackle origin country by country, so we have a little better understanding there. But Brazil, like I said, people are just now thinking, what are we going to do with the harvest upon us? Are we going to have enough labor for us to harvest this coffee coming up? That's the biggest question mark that people are talking internally. If people do harvesting mechanically in Brazil, chances are that they are going to be okay. But the producers that they use a lot of laborers to pick their coffee, they're going to face a challenge finding the people or even trying to get people attracted to come to the farm and pick coffee during this time of uncertainty.
Is that?
So that's good. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Is that because the people are just in those countries are also, like everyone else, being told to just not go out? Or what is the cause or the catalyst for the labor shortage, or the idea that there could be one?
Yes, I think part of it is that what I just mentioned. People they're told to stay home, but there is also the fear factor that we cannot discount. People just getting afraid to get out and be contaminated by the coronavirus. So people are being super cautious in terms of getting out of the house. I spoke with a producer that we work closely in Brazil 2 days ago. And usually during the peak of the harvest, they have about 400 employees working there. And he's telling me that this year he's going to probably have 150 employees to do the work of 400 employees, just because
wow.
He's going to have a challenge finding people wanting to come to the farm and work there. So
that's intense.
It is super intense. That's part of it. I know Colombia, for example, it's been an interesting few months in Colombia, so to speak. There was a supply, there was an oversold problem in general in Colombia. People sold more coffee than they had to deliver. And so they were a little short in the short period of time that we're in the current state. And right now, people are not offering coffees from Colombia until July forward. So there is a lot of challenges right there. People that sold in the early months of the year, they're having a big struggle right now to get the coffees out because of shipping containers. There is a big shortage of shipping containers for coffee. And I believe this is due to also the coronavirus. And there are a lot of shipping containers stuck in Asia, not coming to this part of the world. So that is also causing a little bit of a bottleneck problem in terms of shipping coffees out of producing countries that would have coffees available to ship. But I feel like in Colombia, the FMC, I believe last Friday, sent out a bulletin to the president of Colombia requesting that coffee would be included in the exception category for food products. And given the current state and the safety restrictions for employees and all, they agreed to comply to the government restrictions and the government instructions in terms of health safety, and they have been allowed by the government to continue on to do business as normal as long as they follow the rules.
That's very similar to what we're dealing with, the way we're trying to keep our cafes open by doing curbside service and trying to find what the exceptions are, get clarity. And the farmers are having to do the exact same thing you're saying.
Exactly. And the challenge there is that the biggest fear that they had was actually that the government would close the port in Colombia. And if that was the case, then they wouldn't be able to get the coffees out of there. So that was the biggest challenge. But apparently I just received a few emails and I've had a few conversations in the last couple of days where the government in Colombia decided that they are going to leave the ports open as long as they can and then let the people harvest the coffee and process the coffee and get the coffees out of there as much as they can, and they are able to. If things get really bad, I'm not sure if this is going to continue on. That's a big question mark that we need to be watching and listening and researching. But let's hope that people get their stuff together and the coffees that are ready to be shipped, they can get out of there in a timely manner to arrive in the consuming countries.
A question about the way that this goes for other countries. I have this idea, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, but do other governments that manage export of coffee, like Ethiopia or any other like smaller Central American countries, for example, look to the larger producers in their policies to set the tone for what they're going to do also?
I would say yes, for sure. I'm sure that Ethiopia is aware, the government is aware of what's going on in Brazil in terms of what they are doing. I'm sure that Colombia as well knows what's going on in Brazil and so forth. Central America is always looking up to Colombia and Brazil as well to hear what's going on down there so they can actually adjust, their what they do. I had a conversation with one of our suppliers out of Honduras last week, and the government had just put a total lockdown, shutdown in the country for 14 days. So we know from last week until this 14 days period is over, there's no coffee going out of there. Warehouses are closed, ports are closed, and in Brazil, I believe as well, last week, Thursday or Friday, there was an indication that the Brazilian government was considering closing the port of Santos, which is the main port where coffee and food comes out of Brazil. And there was a lot of distress, a lot of tension around those news. So I'm sure that these countries are watching each other. They are aware of what's going on. Internet and social media and media outlets are great to keep people informed, and I'm pretty sure that they know what's going on with other producing countries as well.
Okay, so when it comes to how this impacts your partners who are roasters, and we've already talked about how this coffee there's tension over the coffee that's getting ready to, or supposed to getting off onto the boat and arrive at the roastery, et cetera. I assume that these contracts are your contracts being renegotiated? Is that too early to renegotiate contracts? What's happening when it comes to the relationship between what the roastery has invested in and what the export is on the hook for?
Yeah, so it's challenging. I feel like sometimes importers are misunderstood in what their role is in the whole chain. Sometimes misunderstood by the producing side and sometimes misunderstood by the roasting side. We're literally almost in the middle of the whole thing. But in the times like this, we are seeing a big influx of people reaching out to us to see what we can do and how we can help them. Of course, that we are still a small company, and we try to do our best. But we are also in the same boat as most of these people are. We're taking one day at a time, trying to adjust to the situation. But what we have been trying to talk to people is the main thing is right now. Let's not panic, right? There's a lot of people panicking all over the world. We need to actually sit down, take a deep breath, and understand, what we can do. Of course, we have set up and prepared our team to be here, to listen to our clients, actually to talk to our clients and understand what's going on with their business, with them personally, how we can be of a resource, how can we point them in the right direction. Yes, there are people asking us to think and renegotiate contracts and so forth. we are definitely listening to everyone, and we're taking case by case and understanding how we can be of help in this time of need. But one thing that people also need to understand is that we are not. We also need them to understand us, and that sometimes even though we want to help everyone, we are not able to help everyone. But we'll do our best to accommodate people as much as we can, and also even point them in the right direction. It's unprecedented times, uncharted territory that we're in, but we understand the gravity of the situation, and all we want to do is to help our people in both ends, not just in the producer side, but also on the commercial side and the retail side, roasting side. But yeah, we are definitely prepared to talk to every one of our clients and help them understand the situation. And believe me, if there is anything that we can do that is within our power, we will do to help our partners.
So I want to talk a little bit about that. And, you get so many communications from both sides, and being able to help them with guidance, what they should be prepared for. What kinds of things are you telling your farming partners? What types of things are you telling the roasteries to help them get through this? Like, what are you telling them to be prepared for? Because I know a lot of people are just thinking, they are processing. They are all processing this coffee different ways, and they need to move it.
So for the producing side, what we have been telling people that we have contracts pending, that coffees are somewhat ready to be processed and shipped, dry milled and shipped. We are telling them, let's go ahead and get these coffees on the water. Let's get these coffees out of origin to final destinations. Let's move quickly if we can, as long as we can, right? So we're trying to give them some sense of urgency to get the coffees in contract for immediate shipments to get out of the water, to get out of the warehouse as soon as possible. So there's a lot of effort being put into this by our logistics team and our partners at Origin, just like trying to get as much coffee as possible from Origin right now into consuming countries. That's the main goal for us in terms of coffees that we have with pending contracts. On the roasting side, on the consuming side here, we've been trying to tell our clients to really take a look in their supply, what they have in contract. Of course, a lot of people, their sales have gone down, especially those that are mostly focused on retail, with their retails being, partially closed or fully closed, depending where they are. We're telling them that, they need to get in touch with us and let us know what's going on with them so we can help them case by case. But those that are actually finding new opportunities to sell online, or they sell coffee to wholesale clients such as supermarkets, which we have seen a boom in the last few weeks, and their business are being impacted positively by this demand. We are also here trying to talk to them and tell them that we have coffees available right here in this point in time that we can offer them and help them plan for this demand, right? So this is some of the things we have been proactively doing. We have been trying to reach out to our clients and actually trying to understand their situation and then creating a game plan on how we can help them, especially in terms of the demand that they might have during this time with increasing sales for online, due to the online demand and also supermarket client demand. Those are some of the things we're doing. Now, there are things that we are telling people that if they can prepare, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now, given, the current state we're in, if they need to delay some deliveries, or if they need to book coffee forward so they are well prepared. We are also advising them in regards to that. And one thing is clear, Chris, this will pass. Right now, I think people are thinking like, am I going to be able to survive this, right?
Right.
Business-wise. But this will pass. And I feel like, this is me, Ricardo Pereira, speaking, I feel that the economy is going to bounce back. And people are going to be, wanting to get out of the house. They're going to be tired of takeout food, or order things online, and they're going to go back to their normal routine. And I think that those companies that they can hold on during this time and are able to come on top, are able to weather this problem, they will come on top when it's time for people to get back on their normal life, normal routine, because business is going to be busy again. That's my opinion, my personal opinion. I know people in general, they are people that want to be on the move. They want to be out and about. They don't want to be stuck and confined into one place. And I think when this is all said and done, people are going to be wanting to go out, and they're going to be wanting to go to the coffee shops and have the human interaction that is so, I guess, important for people.
Yeah, I default toward that myself. And it's hopeful, and I think it seems like it makes a lot of sense, and long term, how are we planning to be successful after this is over? And to their credit, like most people that I talk to that are in a coffee bar or a roastery have somewhat of that mindset, that there is obviously a very pragmatic spirit right now of what we need to do to stay afloat, but there's still a lot of really good people are pivoting well, actually. And like you say, roasteries are starting to pick up with different types of orders that will likely continue in some way past the pandemic itself. So, you might even see more whole bean coffee going off the shelves now that we've equipped people to brew coffee at home better than I think we've ever have in our history as an industry.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I think that it's a new, for many companies, the online opportunity is a new stream of revenue that maybe they were underutilizing it, or maybe they were not focusing as much. And I've seen a lot of people push their online sales in the last few weeks. And I think that the convenience of having to order things online is proven by Amazon.com, right? That it works.
Yeah.
And I think that people will find interest. I think people will see that will be interesting to them down the road when it is all said and done. That people are their sales online should continue to go on, and their retail wholesale business is going to pick up as well. But now they have this new stream of revenue through the online sales that perhaps they were not able to put much time and focus before this problem. And now they are forced to work on it so we can keep them alive.
Right.
But I think it should be interesting down the road for us to see how that's going to impact businesses when this is over.
Yeah, exactly. As the revenue streams start to open up out of necessity, it's exactly it. Question that comes to mind for future planning, where we're talking about budgeting. Currently, I think a lot of people are in the position of thinking, you know what, when this is over, we really need a plan that's a little bit more airtight for our financials. Maybe we'll think a little bit more about what could possibly go wrong in the future. And we want to be a little bit more on top of our finances as a company. So they're going to be a little bit more, maybe more risk averse when it comes to spending money and looking at the price of green coffee as an expense to their business. What kinds of things do you feel, and just judging by the way things are going right now, how is this going to impact the price of green coffee? And, how is that going to, how should roasters be preparing themselves financially to take that on if there is going to be a change at all?
That's a great question, Chris. I think something that I've noticed just currently, just now, is that, we still have people calling and asking for pricing or calling and placing orders with us. And I've seen a lot of that being coffees that sometimes we would call like middle of the road specialty. That is still going relatively okay right now. I don't see a lot of people going out to source like specific, like limited, edition micro lots. Right now, at this point in time, I think people are focusing on coffees that are well priced and that they can move more of it. I guess this is also given to the demand from supermarkets and also perhaps people online shopping for coffees, but they're not wanting to pay a lot of money for a geisha, for example, or a limited edition micro lot. They're buying those 84, 85, 86 coffees, and sometimes maybe a little lower quality than that. So that's something that is already happening right now, and that's what we have been seeing here as an importer in terms of demand. Now, in terms of like future, what coffee prices are going to look like, what we have seen in the last few weeks is a jump in the C market of close to 30 cents, for the last few weeks. So that's a fact. Prices are going up. There's all these theories. What if, the U.S. closed the ports? What if producing countries close their ports and there's no way to get coffee out of origin to the destination? There are things that we're not talking much about these days. Central America had a smaller year in terms of production. Honduras is low, at least 40% of their production. And they're the biggest producer of coffee in Central America. Guatemala is down like 15, 20%. Nicaragua likewise. So we have seen some production decrease in Central America. These coffees are not even arriving here yet, right? If the ports are closed at origin and here in the U.S. or Europe, what is going to happen? I think what's going to happen is spot coffees, people, importers and trading houses that have coffees available at destination, those coffees are going to be more valuable. Their value is going to go up. And I think in general, if this is the case and if the ports are closed and freight companies are shut down and whatever it is, we're going to definitely see an increase in the price of coffee. Now, granted, I'm not here trying to advocate for lower price coffees, but this one thing that we have seen that is happening is that coronavirus is helping impact the price of coffee in the market for sure. And this is a very good thing for the producers, for the producing side.
Yeah, it seems that the shortage of both the ability to go into a coffee shop and the shortage of, or the uncertainty around the raw product itself is in some sense teaching people, or in this case teaching the market, that these things are valuable, especially when you don't know if you're going to have them or not. And so it seems like from what you're saying, and we see this as a trend with the accessibility. Accessibility is one of the main things that I see with marketing. We're doing more developed coffees. We're highlighting 85-point coffees and not just 90-point coffees. And it seems like what you're saying is that the price of those might go up a little bit as a result of this, which is a good thing, in that maybe it's a time for us to really embrace those accessible blends and those coffees that may not be, the 90 and above, but we could charge more for them in the store because we're probably going to be paying more for them green.
I could not agree more. That's exactly right. I feel like that we as an industry, especially, in the specialty industry, there are people that are They try to be hyper specialty. Don't get me wrong, we have an array of qualities here we offer. But sometimes I think people forget that the bulk of the business is actually the 82s to 84s, 85s, you know, in our industry. And those are the coffees that are sold by volume. And if we can pay more for those qualities, we're making a bigger impact in the supply chain. And sometimes we forget about that. We're looking for those niche coffees that nobody else would have. But, you know, what is the percentage of those coffees being produced out there, right? How much impact we can cause in the industry if we're focusing on coffees that score 90 plus points or 89, 88 points. You know, what is the real impact that we can cause in the industry if we're focusing only on those costs?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so that's my personal opinion here.
I mean,
I feel like there's a lot to be done. You know, I deal with producers all the time, and they kept asking me, "Hey, I have this 83, 84, 85 coffees. Can you help me move them? You know, I know that there's a lot of those coffees, and those coffees, because of there are more of them, supply and demand, the price shouldn't be, you know, as much as perhaps a 87, 86, 87, 88 point coffee." So it's a little bit of like juggling those two things, you know, telling the producer that they have amazing coffees on their hand, but the 83, 84, 85, they shouldn't be priced as an 86, 87, 88. And because there's more of that available, it's not as a novelty as an 88, 89, 90 point coffee, right? So it's kind of like a two-edged sword as well. But if we are buying the bulk of our business, you know, we are buying the 84s, 85s, and we're paying good price for them, we can make a bigger impact in the supply chain, as opposed to be focusing only on the 90 coffees that are very limited.
Just seems like this is as hard as this is to live through in business and personally. It seems like a good opportunity to have that price not only just go up and then just drop back down, but to keep it up as
right.
we embrace these coffees that we're going to be paying more for. We can sort of use this to springboard the industry a little bit more forward than we could have if everything was just going the way it was before.
No, that is correct. And I've been saying this for a little while to our team here and some friends that, you know, before the COVID-19 happened, you know, I've been saying this, that, you know, the coffee pricing crisis is definitely a huge problem, and that we have seen it before. It's not something that just happened last year, the year before. It's something that has happened many times before in our history as an industry. And what have we done to get a more permanent solution for this problem? You know, I think that people are so aware now. There's so much awareness in regards to this issue of the coffee pricing. But I keep telling everyone, this will change, and we will make a more permanent solution for the problem if we are all engaged. Everybody that is a part in the chain. If we are all engaged together for the greater good of our industry, we can make a change. And now is the time. And the COVID-19 might be just like something that is helping us rethink and reflect on how we have been conducting our businesses to actually move forward more united. It's a time now that we need to unite ourselves as people against a bigger problem that we face, that we sometimes don't even see it, right? We don't see it that it's happening, which is the COVID-19. And now, like, look at this and reflect on how we can actually utilize this for us to change on how we do business. And more specifically, here's talking about coffee. How can we as people, coffee people, come together and together make a change that is going to last for a long time, and is a positive. It can cause a positive impact in the whole entire supply chain.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's a great way to put it, and I think I think that it's true, and this does present a great opportunity. And Ricardo, thank you for coming on the show and kind of shedding some light on what's happening in your world. And, we're all connected. It has a ripple effect on everybody in the supply chain. We're in this together. I'm glad that you all are there to help both the farmer and the consuming side. And more power to you all. I hope you all stay safe and keep doing amazing work.
Chris, thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor and a pleasure. I really appreciate what you do, and your podcast is something that I'm a big fan of, and I'm honored to be here speaking, and humble as well to be speaking with you today. And don't hesitate to contact us if you need any help or you have any questions. We are here to be a resource for our industry.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Thank you, Chris.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me today, everybody. I hope that this interview shed some light on the topic for you and was clarifying and helpful. I think there's a lot we can do to help each other out in these scenarios. I especially am a big fan of amplifying all different types of coffees out there, not just the 90 plus coffees, but finding a home for and heavily marketing and celebrating these mid 80s coffees that are the bulk of what is being produced out there and the hardest to move. The new model of how we do business in specialty is going to have to be more inclusive, because that's how the farmers are going to be able to recover from this. And honestly, I think the more inclusive and open we are to a variety of coffees in our businesses, the better our businesses on the consuming side are going to do as well. So thank you very much to Ricardo for joining me on the show. Thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you here on another episode focused on the COVID-19 crisis, from keys to the shop.